Professor, coming to you, when we talk about incentives and economic incentives, what needs to be employed here to guard the youth, like we were speaking about, the women, and the farmers?
Oh, that's a good question, Eric, and it's very complex. And I totally agree with Laura and Freddie. You know, we need to look at co-designed solutions for these sorts of issues. You know, we can't necessarily go into a community and pretend that we know what's important, what's going to motivate those communities. So I think it needs to be a very contextual, very locally specific approaches. And certainly it can't be top down. It really needs to be bottom up. So it needs to be facilitated, certainly. But I think we really need to be listening to communities about what their motivations and preferences are. You know, what sort of future do they want, and how can they track in the right direction to achieve those sorts of futures? I mean, we try to do this with a range of initiatives. I'm involved in a group called Future Earth Coast that's actually I co-chair with Dr. Pavaja Ramachandra, who's actually with the Indian Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And we try to work with local communities throughout the world on coastal sustainable livelihood issues. And what we've found really is that everything is different. You know, different communities prioritise different things, and you need to respect and work with that. So I think it's very contextually specific incentives.
You know, let's go back to what we're talking about, finding money. And more than $1 trillion a year is going into climate-related activities. That's what the figures say. And the figures are rising every year. But researchers say that banks, investors, and governments are not spending anywhere near enough money to stem the impact of climate change. And they continue to fund projects that worsen the problem. If we talk about money and going green, how much? Can we quantify the amount, really, Ambassador?
I think it's a very correct question. I don't think it's possible to find a correct answer to it. I'll put a dilemma to you. I put in a lot of money in my sovereign funds every year. And my dilemma is I would like to have a nice, well-off retirement. But if my money being put in sovereign funds, if they should be used in a proper way for my generation and the future generations, then I should not really focus on return on my investments in the sovereign funds. And I fail really to understand, I mean, we have that in Denmark, we have a lot of sovereign funds, but every time when it comes really to the balance sheet, they're much more interested in getting a return on their investments. And then secondly comes the climate change and the green line and all that. So I think it's very, very difficult. But luckily we had the COP26, we had a commitment, and I hope this kind of commitment will really take not only the politicians, the governments, but also the corporate sector into a much more serious investment, because the climate is not only bad and climate changes is not only bad, but climate changes are also offering unique opportunities. And I'm pretty sure we'll find the money. If not, you and I will get some money out of our wallet and we'll invest in a better future, a greener future for you and me and everybody here. Thank you. Investing in a greener future. Laura, have we achieved that as a world? Not just as countries, but as a world. Are we in the right track?
To be honest, we are not. Right now, we invest. Yeah, we do not invest. We do not invest what we need to invest. Because, for example, in the Netherlands, we know we have to invest a certain amount of money for the climate transition. But until this government accord, yeah, we didn't, to be honest. And this government accord, it was better, but it's still not there. And I think that's globally the problem. Because globally, we just do not invest enough in the climate transition. And that's not only the government, it's also from the investors themselves. Because I think the investors themselves do not see the business case of the climate, of sustainable investing yet. But it is there. For example, the really, really big investment companies such as BlackRock, they really see the investing opportunities for sustainable investing. So they really also say that it's really on the equal footing or maybe even better than normal investing. And if we do not invest in the climate transition, we also as companies and as society, but also as investors, will have a really big problem, because you cannot have success in a society that is failing, of course. So it's really important for us that we're investing right now, and that we make sure our damage is as least as possible, and that we make sure that our returns are as good as possible as society, but also as investors. And sustainable investing, therefore, is a really good opportunity, in my opinion. Added to that, also, for example, BlackRock said sustainability is the future of investing and can no longer be ignored. And it's not only interesting for the vision-driven investor anymore, but also especially interesting for risk and return-focused investors.